I have a lot of cardboard and I need to do something cozy. I'm in England for as long as the government allows me to be here. At the moment I have a minimum of craft materials, except cardboard. So to entertain me, I bought a book. I love the Moomins and its illustrations, but it also came with this. It's a poster to make your own Moomin house. Of course, my immediate reaction was, let's make a Moomin house, but make a tabletop terrain. And also use as much trash as I possibly can. Because yes, I am too lazy to bring it to the recycling center. So I have to be honest and admit that I've only discovered the Moomins quite recently. But once I finally started reading it and watching the series, it was like discovering a part of my soul that I hadn't known existed. It's just so cute and beautiful and creepy at some points. So I've been wanting to make something Moomin themed for a while. Finding this was just kind of my sign to finally do it. The Moomin house looks different in a lot of the illustrations that Toby Jensen does, and then very different from the animated series, and then that animated series. Then there's also the house that Toby Jensen built with her girlfriend and a doctor, and it definitely doesn't look like any other Moomin house in the illustrations or the animation, because the process of building it was their fun and their creative process, which I can definitely vibe with. There's this whole beautiful documentary about it on YouTube. I'll link it somewhere. Building a dollhouse that size with my friends is my retirement plan. Every time I make a design and I draw something, it ends up really different because I find bits and bobs, I find inspiration in the building process itself, but regardless of me probably ignoring it, we'll need a design to start off. So I want this to be a wizard tower, which looks like the Moomin house and also functions as tabletop terrain. I think one of the key things is a very pointy roof, and I'd also like to add a widened turret to give it a more medieval / wizardly look. The style of the windows and door on this poster are super cute, so I'd love to incorporate those into the build. Because I'm using almost exclusively cardboard, it will be a little bit harder to detail and texture, so I'm thinking some 3D printed windows would really elevate the whole thing. For it to really read as a Moomin house, it will have to have the same colors as the classic animation. Of course, we also need to add a chimney for all the potion fumes. So, the Moomin house is basically just a tube. The version that I drew is a little bit more all over the place, but it's still very tube-based. Luckily, we've got these. I had these in the trash. Classic Pringles tube, always good for a tower. This pot, I think this one would be a perfect fit for the wider part. And I'm gonna try to keep the screw bottom because I do like making my towers. Oh, my tower will smell hot and clean. I do like keeping the screw on tops. Then I can build the roof around this and screw up the roof, and then we can have a cool top where we can maybe put some cute furniture. But first things first, let's cut these tubes up. Hey friends, while editing this part I noticed I was super sleepy and very incoherent, so I just wanted to remind you to go to bed on time before you film the video. Maybe we can even... And then if we glue this to the bottom to have a Pringles... Might... I think I'll have to cut a bit off. So I think ideally six centimeters. Oh wow, that's a lot easier to cut into than I thought. So I cut off the bottom of the tub so I could keep the lid. I then cut up a round piece of foam board to fit into the bottom. And then I glued the Pringles lid on that part. So I'd like a really pointy roof, and what I'm thinking is to build up like an actual roof, even though I'm not the best architect. Hot glue is my friend today. It might not stay forever, but it'll stay now. Ooh, that might work. Let's try it out. I used this cardboard ring as a base and bent these strips into the shape I wanted, using a lot of hot glue. I improvised as I went, cutting the tops to create a pointier roof. That's looking good. I made this little topper. I think that could actually work. Not perfect, but pretty cute. Time for the hill. The first layer is made out of foam core. It's strong, flat, and easy to cut, unlike what I used for the rest of it. I wanted to make this out of trash, and unfortunately I still had some styrofoam. I drew out a few layers, going smaller on top. 3 was enough to get the height I wanted. Then I glued it together on a low hot glue setting and let it dry with some weight on it. It needed a bit more of a natural shape, so I started cutting. Let me tell you, this stuff is horrible to cut. To make sure that I never had to touch styrofoam again and to smooth everything out, I used wool filler and smoothed it with some water. For the windows, I picked up my iPad and used the poster for reference. It had some really cute curly Belle Epoque style windows that have a somewhat fantasy feel to it. I made sure it was a solid piece with enough thickness for printing, and I also wanted to emulate the hand-drawn style. So I used drawn on details, and when everything was finished, I used my move tool to make everything a bit more wonky and natural. And then it was ready to send to the printer. Now back to the roof. I started by cutting up some cereal boxes for shingles. I like cutting them up in really long rows, and by bending them around, it was really easy to apply them in one go. This way, it takes way less time than applying them one by one. At that moment, I had to jump into a call with my buds, because we have a super secret project that you might find out about soon. But because my attention span is pretty bad, I used that time to glue some shingles on. I didn't entirely finish the shingling. I burnt my finger quite badly on the hot glue, but I survived, barely. So I gotta cut a few more shingles and finish this roof, but I think it looks really cute. And another thing, the little hill has dried. Pretty solid. No more snow escaping from it, and I didn't make the mistake that I usually make. I left a flat part so that I could put some minis on top of it. First things first, let's try to finish this. Shingle time. Meow, meow, meow. Meow, 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 meow. Watching the Moomins, I feel like I want to be Snufkin.
Are you talking to me?
But really, I'm Lil Mai.
If you say so, I suppose I have to believe you.
So I want the whole tower, including the bottom bit, covered in planks, just like the Moomin house. I've cut these out in 2 different sizes, so I can alternate them. This took me 500 hours. I would usually... I have candy in my mouth. Usually I would do it in foam so I can draw wood texture into it. The illustrations, you don't see much of a pronounced wood texture. So I think it'd be nicer to use the natural texture of this cardboard. I've got snacks, I've got planks, and my glue gun is heating up. I hope those were cool effects and not just farts. This is when I think it really starts to come together. Under the roof, I continued the planks so I could hide the screw-on lid. For the interior of the tower, I cut out a round piece of cardboard that snugly fit inside. One by one, I cut it into smaller pieces to then glue into the chamber. I have some nice floorboards now, but I'm thinking for the inside, ideally, I would have some kind of wallpaper. I want it to look kind of fancy, but mainly cute. Let's see if this works. I'm nervous. Hot glue everywhere. Please don't put it on your fingers again. Now, the age-old question. Does it actually look good? Now you may ask, how do people get in and out this top? Wizards can teleport. We don't need doors or latches. Maybe we do need a latch, like a... Ooh, maybe we do need a latch. I cut up a piece of cereal box and added 2 smaller pieces across. Then I mixed up some milliput and rolled it into a thin sausage. I didn't have any sculpting tools on hand, so I used a hairpin to sculpt a small round handle for the trapdoor. I then just glued it in, added a plastic frame, and we had a way to get in. I wasn't completely happy with the paper topper on the tower, so using some leftover milliput, I sculpted in something with more flair. And because I still had some mix left, I added some detailing to the dormer window. These windows and doors, and they came out great. This is the first time I've sculpted some terrain bits, I guess. They came out so cute. Wasn't sure if I had sized them correctly. And here I have my goblin prints, who you can get on my Patreon. Wow, smooth plug. Whee! He can stand guard at the door. I'm gonna cut out small gaps and then glue the windows over it so I can put a tail light in there and it'll look all cute and cozy. One of the windows goes here. Oh, that looks so perfect. I love small things so much. And the next step is just finishing everything.
Here's Johnny.
I've been watching a lot of Moomins for this video, for research. Okay, now I'm just adding my own sound effects. I can't stop wondering what the Moomins are. I'd love to hear what you think. Are they soft? Like, I'm thinking Sylvanian family soft? Or like a beluga whale? I don't know, they kind of look like beluga whales. But then he's also got this fluffy tail, which makes me think that he might be fluffy. So I don't know if they're soft or if they're like beluga whales. Kinda looks more like the drawing that Tove Jensen made. I found a paper straw that was perfect for the chimney, using some paper tape and a little cereal box roof. I think it's ready to be painted. Now I've been trying to use as much cardboard up as I possibly can to continue that idea. Painting palette. Now, we'll need a lot of blue. Okay, checking the sleeves for paint. I then started on the flocking, but subtle foreshadowing, it did not go as planned. I used a different glue, which dried glossy, and a different flock as usual. So yeah. This has never happened to me. I used a different brand of flock that I usually do, and it looks disgusting. It kind of looks like there's a man's beard clippings in it. We can't take it off, can we? I'm gonna try to salvage it, try to hide the beard hairs that are in it. You see, it looks, I don't know, I think it looks really gross. When I put it all together, it's starting to look really nice and cute. And I love this area, and I love this area. But the actual Wizard Tower part, I'm not completely happy with it. So, I used some milliput, and I sculpted. Okay, editing Tina, please tell me what these are called. These are called It's Shutter's Dumbo. And because I mixed up way too much milliput, I also made some tiny furniture. I've got a little table and a chair. I also sculpted some tiny books, because that's what wizards need. And a little plant pot to put up here. I'm gonna paint those today. First, let's get rid of the beard hair. Got some new flock, but now I'm seeing there's still red hairs in it. Also, the glue has dried, kind of shiny. This is not the glue I always use and not the flock I always use. So I guess weird things happen. What I'm gonna do is try to scrape off as much as I can. Give it a little repaint and try to flock it again with different flock. Still not the one I usually use, but I couldn't get it. So I just finished flocking this. Still need to do a little bit of cleanup, but it's looking a lot better. I think if we add some flowers, some bushes, some other tufts, we can make this look really cute. It's looking clean now. I do see I missed a tiny patch here, but we're gonna ignore that. That's our little secret. There it is! This was probably one of the smallest projects I've done in a while. It was quite relaxing not making something that is bigger than myself. I managed to incorporate quite a bit of cardboard. I think usually I'd be tempted to make this out of foam, but it was quite a fun challenge to just use cardboard. The 3D printed windows really give it that extra detail, which I couldn't have done with cardboard. I'm really happy with them. I might use them again in the future. I will put them up on my Patreon, so head over there if you're interested in joining and if you want some cute windows. Thank you for watching, and that's the end of the video. And I will see you next video.